Games of Commander can be quite long. It's a simple truth everyone recognizes. They can be fairly short with the right decks and strategies, but in general, a single game of Commander will take vastly more time than a 1v1 format. A side effect of having multiple players all working to sabotage each other's strategies. A struggle for supremacy, a battle for who will be king. Alliances form and break, and the balance of power shifts back and forth until it tips too far. It takes time, and sometimes a lot of it. But it doesn't have to. Group hug is usually a pretty popular strategy amongst your opponents. Someone giving everyone benefits like extra cards and more mana. People like it when their opponents do those types of things, as they help your deck do the thing better. So it should be little surprise that a deck that hurts you when you do the same things is often hated just as much as the other is loved. Group Slug, as it is referred to, is a strategy which seeks to damage your opponents when they take certain actions. Unlike Stacks, which prevents a person from taking game actions, Group Slug merely throws punches when they do. It's actually one of my favorite archetypes of all times, as it accelerates a game towards its conclusion at a faster pace. Mortals, immortals, and friends from the blind eternities, my name is Samson Loreseeker, and today I am going to tell you about why sometimes it can be a joy to all go together into the void. Many cards in a Group Slug strategy are hated because they punish players for taking game actions that are normally quite free. Drawing cards, Spiteful Visions or Underworld Dreams. Playing lands, Nightshade Harvester. Tapping lands, Mana Barbs. Things are dying? Well, the aristocrats have you covered. How about casting spells? Rug of Smothering. Activated abilities? Harsh Mentor. Making token creatures? Rampaging Ferocidon. There's even cards like Titan Hunter or Saravok, who hurt people for doing nothing at all. And of course there are also the cards that just punch regardless of what's going on, things like Sulfuric Vortex, or Havoc Festival, or Collapsing Borders. There is absolutely irritation from these cards that I can completely understand. Do you pay the one is one of the most irritating questions in Magic, and when that becomes a statement attached to every action taken in the game, from starting your turn to your end step, it makes sense that it could aggravate a player. Admittedly, it does also interrupt people on their turns, which can potentially make turns take longer. Some of these cards even affect the owner as well, hurting them as much as their opponents. So it makes sense why people would ask why someone would even want to see them played. The answer, for me at least, and possibly others, is that it keeps the game moving. It can be very frustrating when games go long in Commander. Pillow forts form, people are too scared to attack because of the crackback, and a 4-player game becomes solitaire until someone hits the card that wins, or the card that erases everything and everyone has to start all over again. Some decks become completely unable to win against others, and it becomes a slow, agonizing wait for either the removal or for the other person to do something to win. Just because interaction is run doesn't mean it will be drawn when you need it. Group Slug counters this problem by making sure there is always a clock. Their cards make sure that there is a cost to actions that will guarantee that the game will reach the conclusion. It's proactively inevitable. Group Slug is also opposite to Group Hug in another way. Oftentimes, despite their claims, Group Hug doesn't make things fair for everyone, it just raises the bar. The people who were going to have the most mana anyways, now have even more than before. The people who already were going to draw a million cards are going to draw them faster. Most of the time, Group Hug decks elevate the decks that were behind, but also boost ahead the other decks in equal amount. The discrepancy remains the same. Things are just happening sooner. Group Slug, however, turns the tables around. The people who only play a single land per turn and cast a single spell per turn will be hurt less than the people who ramp like crazy and triple or quadruple spell. The people drawing their deck will die before someone drawing one card at a time. Someone running away with the game must be able to capitalize on that lead fast, or efficiently enough, or risk getting killed by 1,000 little pings before they can. Alternatively, they are forced to match the speed of everyone else at the table if they want to avoid a quick death. But they're not alone in this. It's been an unfortunate trend of late that more and more effects on Magic cards are not symmetrical. This greatly displeases me. I much prefer it when effects are symmetrical. Now, it can be a bit of a joke that it's symmetrical, so it's fair. That usually is because many people build around their cards in such a way that it isn't really symmetrical. But with group slug decks, many of the symmetrical pieces are actually properly symmetrical. Havoc Festival is one of my all-time favorite cards in Commander. Players cannot gain life, and lose half of their life on their upkeep. It puts a very real clock on the game, and if no one interacts with it, it will end the game in no time at all. Sure, you could try to sacrifice it before your upkeep, but there are cheaper and better ways if you merely wanted to cut your opponent's life total in half. Another favorite piece is Descent into Avernus, which creates a bunch of treasures and does a lot of damage to the table. This likewise rapidly accelerates the game forward, both by providing mana to everyone, but also by increasingly greater damage to everyone. The Symmetry will also mean that these decks will end up somewhat self-policed. These players can be knocked out by their own effects, and it has happened to me before on multiple occasions. Not only that, but other players will try to knock said player out of the game first, due to the nature of the deck they play. This in turn leaves those people wide open for crackback, which also helps accelerate the game plan. And say the group slug player does get knocked out of the game first. They usually, by that point, have left a definite mark on the game. People at that point are usually pretty low health, and it only takes a few more swings or haymakers before the rest of the table follows suit. And if one player comes out of it with a clear advantage over the other two, they will likely form an alliance to bring that person down. These decks make things happen, and the Symmetry helps push that agenda right along. Now, it is quite easy to draw comparisons between Stacks and Punisher decks. They can often get confused. One could argue that they serve a similar purpose in the ever-evolving meta of Commander Night. And you may not like this type of gameplay, and that's perfectly fine. But as I mentioned in my villainy video, sometimes running even just a few of these cards can be a huge benefit for the table. For instance, the card Vengeful Tracker from Murders at Karlov Manor is a fantastic card if your table is overrun with treasures, clues, foods, or artifact combos. Or maybe if card draw is an enormous threat, running Fate Unraveler or Underworld Dreams can help stifle that a little bit. Magebane Lizard and Rug of Smothering can really help if there are people who will storm off in your pod. And if you want a little bit of extra protection on your turn, Scytheclaw Raptor and Adrenaline Jockey are incredible sleepers when put in a deck. You don't need to double and triple and quadruple down on these effects and make an entire group slug deck, but even just running a few of them can help keep some games in check on more even footing. You'd be surprised just how relevant some of these can be, even when they aren't being a silver bullet against a particular deck. The last part of this is dedicated to the mindset. When I play my group slug deck, it's a very simple affair. I recognize that if I'm uncontested, I defeat everyone. Many of my cards will also hurt me, so I'm not afraid of taking damage from the other players. As a result, I welcome the enmity, and I lean into it a bit. That way, if I win, it's a pleasant surprise. I've even brought this mindset to my other decks too, and it's made me enjoy Commander even more. Imagining that I'm the threat has a few positive bonuses. It makes every attack against me feel justified. I don't get upset if I'm attacked when I'm not doing anything, because I know that if I'm left alone, I can do some real damage. Even if I'm playing my silly Bracket 1 Book Tribal deck, imagining that I'm just as lethal a threat as the Mothman player, it makes it fun. I feel less upset when I get stopped in the middle of doing something cool, because it's the resistance rising against a villain. Villains lose, and yet we still like them. Sometimes it can be real fun to be the villain. And if the deck you pilot does become the archenemy, then it feels great because you have managed to become the scariest person at the table somehow. And every Commander deck should have the potential to be the scary one at the table. This video is admittedly pretty self-indulgent and biased. This strategy is one of my favorites after all, and I love the games that arise from it. I love when things happen in a game of Commander. But I recognize that this playstyle is not for everyone. Not everybody will like sitting down across the table from one of these decks, and if the pilot doesn't remember triggers and slows everything down, it can become pretty tough to enjoy. But there's something exhilarating about racing towards oblivion as a group. Everyone's life totals getting brought down steadily without all the fuss that can arise from attacking. The recklessness that comes from bringing everyone down with you is quite amusing. The beloved comedy musician Tom Lehrer had something to say about that.
For if the bomb that drops on you gets your friends and neighbors too, There'll be nobody left behind to grieve, and we will all go together when we go. What a comforting fact that is to know. Universal bereavement and inspiring achievement. Yes, we all will go together when we go.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, remember to like, subscribe, comment down below, and do all the usual routine algorithm business. I enjoy making these, and I'm always excited to bring new content to you all. Keep your eyes peeled for the next upload, and until next time, take care of yourselves.